Welcome to the Tuck Podcast Show. Okay, let's just jump right in. Stop what you are doing, take a deep breath, because we are about to dive into something that is actively trying to melt your brain, empty your bank account, and maybe even ruin your reputation, and I mean right now. We're talking about the deepfake crisis of 2025. This isn't about those fun TikTok filters or, silly Snapchat swaps. Not at all.
No, this is a whole different ballgame.
This is about artificial intelligence crossing a line so fundamental that it is making reality itself optional. This is high stakes.
The stakes couldn't be higher. We pulled a really comprehensive stack of sources for this deep dive. We've got reports from Resemble AI, extensive data from the Department of Homeland Security, analysis from the European Parliament, and various industry security briefs.
Wow, that's a heavy list. So what's our mission today?
Our mission is to cut through the panic, really look at the precise mechanics of how this AI deception works, trace its explosive, just unprecedented proliferation, and examine the real-world disasters.
Financial, personal, geopolitical, all of it.
All of it. And then figure out exactly how global institutions are scrambling to respond to what is, an immediate and escalating threat.
Immediate is the key word there. Because when we talk about the core threat, it's so intensely personal. What does this all boil down to?
It boils down to this, and it's a chilling thought. In 2025, your face, your voice, and critically your reputation, both professional and personal, are officially stealable commodities.
Stealable commodities, wow.
Right. The AI infrastructure has made identity theft instantaneous and hyper-realistic, and it often relies on just a handful of your publicly available data points.
Wait a second. Before we get into the technical weeds, I have to set the scene with this analogy from our research. It's absolutely terrifying.
It really is.
Imagine this. You get a call right now, and on the other end, you hear a child's voice, your child's voice, perfectly flawed, sobbing, begging you for money because they've been in a horrific car accident.
Exactly. And that voice, that potent emotional trigger that just slams the door shut on your critical thinking, it was synthesized flawlessly.
From what, though? How?
It was crafted from mere seconds. We're talking just seconds of audio that was likely scraped from a public TikTok post, a short video on Instagram. It could even be a voice note you sent a family member a year ago.
Gasp. No way. And the whole point of that cloned voice, that high-fidelity distress signal, is to leverage your primal panic response to empty your bank account in minutes before you can even think to check if your kid is okay.
Right, before you can even confirm their actual location. This isn't some future threat. This is happening right now. It's actively exploiting human vulnerabilities on a global industrial scale. It's
ruthless.
Ruthless is the perfect word. And the sheer volume, is what elevates this from just a serious problem to a full-blown crisis.
Okay, so give us the data. Hit us with it.
To set the stage with one massive data point, deepfake files are projected to hit 8 million circulating in 2025 alone.
8 million. Are you serious? That's not a trickle. That's an information tsunami.
Absolutely. And for context, that is up from just 500,000 back in 2023.
So that's a 1,600% increase in just 2 years. I can't even process that growth rate.
And that staggering rate is why regulators are playing catch-up and why security experts are sounding the alarm so loudly. The sheer volume changes everything we thought we knew about digital trust.
Wow. That puts us right in the heart of the nothing you see or hear is real anymore scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we panic any further, what exactly are we dealing with mechanically? How did deep learning and fake mashed together to ruin our day?
Right. It sounds like black magic, but the underlying technology is, in a way, elegant, which is what makes it so dangerous. At its core, a deepfake is just synthetic media.
And not just video, right?
Not just video. We're talking audio, images, even blocks of text that have been created or manipulated using AI, all designed to look or sound completely genuine.
So it's not a person spending a weekend in Photoshop. This is an AI engine doing all the heavy lifting in real time.
Precisely. And the specific engine driving this escalating nightmare is something called a generative adversarial network, or a GAN.
GANs? I love the name. It sounds like a perfect villain.
And they kind of behave like one, which is why they're so effective. A Jan isn't just one network. It's two neural networks that are locked in this rapid, relentless battle against each other.
Adversarial. Okay.
Exactly. So you have one network, the generator, and its job is to create these synthetic content. Let's say a video of you saying something you never said.
It's trying to make a perfect fake.
Right. Meanwhile, the second network, the discriminator, is like the perfect internal critic. It mercilessly critiques the generator's output. It looks at that fake video and says, wait, the lighting on his jaw is inconsistent, or his lip sync is off by maybe 30 milliseconds.
So it's the quality control from hell for AI deception. I love that.
That's a great way to put it. The generator takes that criticism and immediately iterates, making the next fake just a little bit better, a little harder to detect. And this whole cycle happens thousands of times a second.
Wow. So they are essentially training each other to be perfect liars.
That's exactly what they're doing. And that leads to these hyper-realistic outputs that are now routinely fooling both humans and a lot of the early-stage detection AI.
And the thing that turned this from a lab experiment into a crisis was this.
Yeah.
This democratization factor, right? It went from something only a government lab could do to something anyone with a laptop can do.
That's the crucial 2025 development. These deepfake tools are now incredibly cheap and easy to produce. We're talking about user-friendly tools like Face Shifter or Wave Tulip. They've just completely lowered the barrier to entry for deception.
So you don't need a supercomputer or a PhD anymore.
Not at all. And we keep coming back to how little raw material they need. That's the real shock for the average person.
It is. Tell us about the small sample size shock, especially with audio.
With audio cloning, the data is just stunning. You only need 3 to 5 seconds of audio. That's it. Less than a single sentence.
3 to 5 seconds.
And with that, you can achieve 85% accurate voice cloning.
That's less than what someone says ordering a coffee. So every video clip, every casual voice note, every quick Instagram story I've ever posted is just, it's raw, weaponizable material for a fraudster. That is horrifying.
It is. The personal data you shared to connect with friends is now being harvested and used as a weapon against your family or your business. And it gets exponentially worse when you factor in what experts are calling the super fake factor.
Which is that cross-modal integration you mentioned.
Exactly. It's when the attackers stop just cloning the voice or just cloning the face, and they start seamlessly combining video, synthesized audio, and manipulated images into one cohesive synthetic piece.
So they match the cloned voice to the cloned mouth movements, the facial expressions, all of it.
All of it. It removes that uncanny valley effect. We're hardwired to spot tiny inconsistencies, the voice not quite matching the lips. Cross-modal integration smooths all of that out.
And the result is what? How effective is that?
The result is staggering. 68% of deepfakes created using this method are now nearly indistinguishable from genuine media.
Wait a second. 68%. So more than 2/3 of the advanced deepfakes we see could pass as real. That's a fundamental crisis of perception.
It is.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sheer volume you mentioned earlier,
yeah,
that's what creates the crisis environment.
It absolutely does. The scale is what overwhelms our defenses.
Okay, let's jump from the tech to the volume. This is the proliferation problem. Give me the growth stats, because 8 million files is just the start.
That's right. The content volume for deepfakes is increasing at a pace we can't keep up with. We're seeing deepfake content volume increasing a shocking 900% annually.
900%. So this isn't gradual. It's a vertical line straight up. The second we build a firewall, the volume on the other side has multiplied 10 times.
Correct. And that velocity is driven by the formats criminals are prioritizing. Video is still dominant. It's at 46% because it has the highest persuasive power.
Okay.
But images are close behind at 32%. And then audio deepfakes at 22%.
That 22% audio share feels like the silent killer, doesn't it?
It is. Video might take more processing power, but audio is the easiest to automate, to deploy en masse, and to use in those high-velocity scamming operations we talked about. It's low-effort, high-return crime.
And this brings us to the rise of the criminal industry itself. Deepfake as a service. This is the real innovation on the dark side.
This is the democratization on the dark web. There are now fully operational deepfake as a service platforms. They're essentially criminal cloud computing services.
So they enable bad actors with, no technical expertise to do this.
Exactly. People who couldn't explain what a Jan is if their life depended on it can now deploy highly sophisticated deepfakes.
So I'm a low-level scammer. I just pay a subscription fee. upload my target's audio clip, and boom, I get a tailored, high-accuracy clone designed to commit fraud.
That's exactly it. You don't need to be a tech genius anymore. You just need a browser and a crypto wallet. This completely changes the profile and the quantity of digital criminals out there.
And that ease of access is feeding an enormous economy.
A huge one. The broader deepfake AI market, both the good and the bad, is projected to reach a staggering $13.9 billion by 2032.
$13.9 billion.
Think of the money being poured into perfecting this deceptive technology. This is no longer a hobby for a few hackers. It's a full-fledged, rapidly growing criminal industry.
A nearly $14 billion industry dedicated to lying and theft. That's just phenomenal in the worst possible way. Which leads us perfectly to our next question. If the tech is this good and the money is flowing this fast, why are we so bad at spotting them? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Right, and this gets to the core psychological vulnerability. We are biologically and socially wired to trust what we see and hear. It's a survival mechanism.
So when that 85% accurate voice calls, our panic response just bypasses our critical thinking.
Exactly. The technology is designed specifically to exploit that hardwired trust.
So let's dive into the detection failure stats. This is where the numbers get really dismal. How good are we as humans at telling real from synthetic?
It's bad. When presented with high-quality video deepfakes, human accuracy is just 24.5%.
Wait, 24.5%. That is spectacularly terrible. That means 3 out of every 4 times we get it wrong. That's worse than just randomly guessing.
It is. For high-quality synthetic video, we are essentially blind. Our eyes and our brains simply haven't evolved to deal with this level of visual fraud.
So what about images? Is it any better?
It's a bit better. For images, human accuracy is around 62%. But for the video content that's designed to manipulate elections or commit high-stakes fraud, we're lost.
So if I see a video of a CEO making a statement or a politician saying something wild right before a vote, my chances of correctly identifying it as fake are less than 1 in 4. That's a fundamental challenge to the shared public square.
It is. And the most disturbing part of this is the confidence gap. Only 9% of adults are confident they can even spot a deepfake.
Only 9%. So not only are we terrible at it, we know we are terrible at it, but we're still being flooded with this content.
Right. And that low confidence coupled with high exposure, 60% of consumers saw a deepfake video last year, creates this perfect storm of paranoia and helplessness. The information ecosystem is poisoned.
The trust recession is real. And sadly, we can't just rely on our tech to save us either, which brings us to the AI detection deficit.
Yes, the classic AI arms race dilemma. We build an AI to spot the fake AI.
But the fake AI is learning faster, right?
The generator networks are learning faster than the discriminator networks. In a lab, detection tools work great. But in the real world, against evolving, sophisticated manipulations, AI detection accuracy drops a shocking 45 to 50%.
Oof. So the tool that's advertised as 95% accurate in a controlled study immediately loses half its power out in the wild.
Exactly. The sophistication of the attacks is just moving faster than our defense, and all those classic telltale signs that researchers taught us to look for, they're rapidly disappearing.
Like what? What were the old tells we can't rely on anymore?
Traditionally, we'd look for things like unnatural blinking patterns. Early deepfakes were bad with eyes, or inconsistent shadows and lighting, or, audio glitches like that slight metallic echo in synthetic voices.
Ah, the synthetic echo. I know that one.
The technology is so good now, especially with cross-modal integration, that the GAN is essentially eliminating those artifacts before the deepfake is even released. It's cleaning up its own mess.
It's an information warfare game where the attackers are always one step ahead. The fact that we can only spot fakes 24.5% of the time and our best AI tools lose half their power. That's why 2025 has become this timeline of deception.
It has. So let's look at the concrete impacts.
Okay, let's move from the abstract tech to the terrifying velocity of real-world incidents. We're not talking hypotheticals. The data shows 179 cases reported in Q1 2025 alone.
That's a staggering acceleration. And here's the context. 179 incidents in 3 months represents a 19% increase over all the incidents reported during the entirety of 2024.
Wait. So the volume of serious incidents in the first 3 months of this year surpassed the total volume of the last 12 months by almost a fifth. That's not growth, that's an explosion.
It's an explosion of criminality. And the primary driver, of course, is money. Let's talk about the financial catastrophe.
What's the damage?
The financial tally for Q1 2025 alone is horrific.
Yep.
Over $200 million in financial losses attributed directly to deepfake-enabled scams.
$200 million gone in 90 days. And this is a flood, right? Not a trickle.
A total flood. The velocity of fraud attempts is stunning. Deepfake fraud attempts have skyrocketed 3,000% since 2023.
3,000%. That number should make everyone sit up straight. And what does that translate to in real time?
It translated to an attack occurring every 5 minutes in 2024.
Every 5 minutes. Someone, somewhere, was facing a highly customized deepfake attack trying to steal their money. This is industrial-scale crime.
And it's global. North America saw a 1,740% increase in attempts. Asia-Pacific was up 1,530%. It's a global financial pandemic. And the attacks often use high-profile figures for credibility.
Right, the celebrity exploitation scams.
No.
Tell me about the Brad Pitt one. That one was just so cynical.
It was. Fraudsters use convincing deepfakes of Brad Pitt, often making philanthropic appeals to solicit funds for fake medical aid. It resulted in a total loss of $1.2 million.
Wow, $1 million gone just by leveraging empathy for a trusted face.
And then you have the Elon Musk video chat deepfakes, which stole $60,000. The sophistication there suggests they were using real-time video calls to impersonate high-level business contacts, maybe even Musk himself.
Classic CEO fraud, but supercharged by AI. And it scales up to massive international operations like that Georgian crypto scam.
That was a masterclass in scale. They used deepfakes of various European celebrities like Ben Fogel to promote fraudulent crypto schemes. The collective loss was a staggering $35 million.
It seems like the losses scale directly with the public trust of the deepfake persona. So what about corporate costs? Businesses hold the biggest pots of money.
Businesses are getting absolutely hammered. Nearly every second global company reported an incident in 2024. On average, a business is losing $500,000 per deepfake event.
$500,000 per incident.
And the projection is that U.S. generative AI fraud alone could hit $40 billion by 2027.
$40 billion. That's a massive systemic transfer of wealth. And it brings us back to that personal gut-wrenching threat. The voice cloning.
The voice cloning scam remains the most insidious. The data shows that 77% of victims who experienced a voice cloning scam lost money, and a full third of them lost over $1,000.
So that 3 to 5 seconds of audio leading to 85% accuracy is paying huge traumatic dividends for the criminals.
And it's moving beyond just regular people. The tech is enabling sophisticated attacks on high-level officials. There was that case where deepfakers impersonated the Italian defense minister, Guido Crosetto.
And they didn't just clone his voice, they used it in real time, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, which shows state-level officials are being targeted for disinformation, for corporate espionage. The targets are getting bigger, and the stakes are getting much, much higher.
Okay, so the financial and political devastation is clear, but now we have to address the really dark side, the non-consensual content. This is where the sheer volume is most alarming.
This is, without question, the most shocking and depressing statistic in our entire deep dive.
Let's hit the number.
96 to 98% of all deepfakes currently circulating globally are non-consensual, explicit content. And the vast, overwhelming majority of that is targeting women and girls. 96
to 98%. So this technological marvel, this sophisticated AI, is being used almost entirely for image-based sexual abuse and harassment. That is just a profound ethical failure.
It's a crisis of human nature intersecting with accessible technology. And we're seeing the traumatic results in places like schools.
Tell me about the school trauma cases.
Yeah, we saw devastating cases globally. There was an incident in a Sydney high school where a student created deepfakes of female classmates. And it wasn't isolated. A similar case in the U.S. affected 44 girls in one school district.
It's targeted psychological warfare against kids. And they're so vulnerable because their whole lives are online, providing all that source data.
Exactly. 62% of people are worried about AI-enabled harassment. And among U.S. students, 40% know of shared deepfakes depicting their peers. So this isn't some hidden problem. It's a known toxic part of their social landscape.
And the psychological impact must be immense. Thankfully, the legal systems are starting to catch up, right?
We are seeing precedents. A UK veteran was sentenced in January for creating deepfake pornography of his ex-wife. These legal actions are crucial because they establish this as a serious prosecutable crime.
Absolutely. The final piece of this deception timeline is the political and geopolitical manipulation. This is where deepfakes go from targeting individuals to eroding the foundation of our institutions.
Right. And we saw this play out dramatically across the 2024 election cycle. 77% of voters encountered AI deepfakes related to candidates.
77%. So 3 out of 4 voters were actively exposed to fake content designed to influence their decision. That is a direct threat to democracy.
It creates what researchers call the liar's dividend.
Ooh, what's that? Explain that term.
The liar's dividend is a fascinating and terrifying side effect. When fakes become common, it allows bad actors, politicians, CEOs, anyone to dismiss real and damning content, like a genuine video of them saying something awful by just calling it a deepfake.
Wait, I want to push back on that.
Yeah.
If the EU is mandating labels for synthetic content, why wouldn't that solve it? Doesn't the label restore trust in anything that isn't labeled?
That's the hope, but the speed of proliferation undermines it. If I flood the zone with hundreds of cheap, unlabeled fakes, the public becomes so used to the idea of fakes that they're psychologically primed to accept it's a deepfake defense when a real piece of evidence emerges.
So it fundamentally erodes accountability because the standard of evidence itself has collapsed. That's a huge national security risk.
And we saw specific examples in Q1 2025. The Northern Irish politician Cara Hunter was targeted right before an election. And internationally, there was that fabricated Trump-Zelensky altercation video posted right after their White House meeting, designed purely to create geopolitical friction.
That's high-level strategic disinformation. But the erosion of trust hits the justice system too, right? The courtroom crisis.
Courts are struggling profoundly. They're grappling daily with authenticating evidence. Deepfakes mean lawyers and judges simply cannot verify if a video or audio file submitted as crucial evidence is real.
So the judicial system now needs forensic AI experts just to decide if evidence is even admissible in a trial. That's a monumental shift.
It is. It adds massive costs, creates long delays, and justice just hangs in the balance. The purpose is so diverse, too. 32% non-consensual content, 23% financial scams, 14% political manipulation, 13% for misinformation.
And that breakdown confirms the personal, harmful content is still the dominant use case. The fact that 63% of these incidents involve multiple jurisdictions complicates everything, which leads us right into the regulatory headaches.
This raises the big question. How do you regulate something that evolves 900% faster than you do? How do you regulate lightning? Governments are scrambling, but the result is a very confusing, fractured patchwork of global law right now.
Okay, let's start with the U.S. approach. What are the concrete legislative steps being taken there?
In the U.S., it's mainly two-pronged. Federally, you have things like the Take Kite Down Act. It's not a silver bullet, but it specifically targets AI-generated child sexual abuse material, empowering platforms to remove it immediately.
So they're going after the most vile use case first. That makes sense.
Correct. Then at the state level, you see laws requiring mandatory disclosures for election deepfakes, forcing campaigns to label their synthetic content. It's a transparency approach.
But does transparency work if people can just strip the labels off, or if our confidence in spotting them is only 9%? It feels like a weak defense.
It's an incomplete defense, which is why the EU has introduced a much more aggressive, systemic mandate.
The EU's AI Act. What does it demand? Give us the deep dive on this.
The AI Act is the most ambitious attempt so far. It takes a risk-based approach. It mandates labeling for all synthetic content. But critically, it classifies certain AI applications as high risk.
High risk like what?
Anything that manipulates voting behavior, affects critical infrastructure, or influences hiring decisions. If your deepfake generator could be used for disinformation campaigns, it falls under a serious liability regime. And there are codes of practice due by August 2025 to harmonize how companies handle this.
Wow. So the EU is going top down. Label everything, and if your tool is high risk, you face massive scrutiny.
They're also leaning on the Digital Services Act, which puts the accountability burden squarely on large platforms. They have to have effective mitigation measures in place, and if they fail, the fines can be astronomical.
That sounds like a powerful financial incentive for big tech to get its act together. What about other major players like China and Denmark?
China is taking a different, tech-centric approach. They require mandatory watermarking for all AI-generated media. The idea is to make synthetic content traceable back to the source.
Watermarking is a regulatory tool.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Denmark has taken a much sharper criminal approach by explicitly criminalizing deepfake distribution. So you see, everyone's trying a different lever. Harm reduction, transparency, systemic risk, traceability, deterrence.
Watermarking, labeling, criminalization.
Yeah.
It sounds like a menu of options, but the biggest problem is still that jurisdictional hellscape you mentioned, right? The enforcement challenge.
Absolutely. Remember that 63% statistic? A staggering 63% of deepfake incidents involve multiple jurisdictions.
No way, get out. 63%.
It's the nature of the internet. The crime originates in country A, the victim is in B, the server is in C, and the money moves through D. It's a nightmare for traditional law enforcement.
It creates these massive cross-border issues. A strong national law can't stop an attack that originates somewhere with no deepfake regulation.
Which is why we need international action. If the bad guys are organized globally in a $13.9 billion industry, the good guys have to be coordinated globally too.
Are there any signs of that working?
We do see some. Europol's Operation Cumberland is a great example. They arrested 24 individuals involved in distributing AI-generated child pornography across multiple countries. It shows that coordinated cross-border crackdowns are possible. They're essential.
So the key takeaway here is that progress is being made, but it's patchy, it's jurisdictional, and it's lagging way behind the speed of the tech itself.
Precisely. And that brings us to the future, which is frankly terrifying, but also to the practical defenses we can implement right now.
Okay, so what does this all mean for us? Let's start with the future projections. If Q1 2025 was that bad, what's the rest of the year going to look like?
Based on the current trajectory, experts are projecting a 162% rise in deepfake fraud throughout 2025. The criminal infrastructure is fully operational, and it is scaling rapidly.
A 162% rise. That means the $40 billion fraud projection for 2027 is probably conservative.
It absolutely is. But the most shocking statistic we found, the one that truly defines this impending information apocalypse, comes from Europol. They estimate that by 2026, 90% of all online content will be synthetic.
90%. Wait. Let me process that. By next year, the vast majority of images, videos, audio, and even text we consume online will be AI-generated fiction. That is utterly destabilizing.
That is the projection. It won't all be malicious, but it will be synthetic. This means the internet fundamentally flips from a repository of human-created information to an overwhelming ocean of machine-generated content.
Yeah.
We're moving from an information age to a fabrication age.
That's a profound shift. What are the trends driving this descent into a synthetic reality?
Two major trends in weaponization. First, hyperreal voice cloning is rapidly catching up to the quality of video deepfakes. And remember, audio is easier to deploy en masse.
That voice cloning accuracy going from 85% to maybe 95% is the difference between a successful scam and a failed one.
Exactly. Second, we'll see increased sophistication in social engineering attacks. The deepfakes will be used to manipulate you into complex, multi-step actions.
What does a complex multi-step attack look like?
Imagine a scammer using a deepfake of your CEO to send you a video message, instructing you to initiate a complex wire transfer over 3 days. They follow up with cloned voice instructions for the security team, all delivered through email, WhatsApp, and a final video call.
Wow. The personalization makes the deceit nearly impossible to spot in the moment. So if the future is 90% synthetic, it is time for some serious practical defenses. What can we do?
Survival requires a holistic strategy. It can't be solved by one country or one piece of software. It demands a 3-pillar approach: technical, legislative, and educational, all at the same time.
Okay, pillar 1, technical solutions. What should the tech industry be prioritizing?
We need rapid advancements in authentication and detection. We need to move beyond simple AI detectors that fail half the time. We need robust, real-time tools that can identify subtle forensic markers. And we need widespread mandatory implementation of authentication systems like blockchain verification and advanced watermarking.
But if the bad guys can strip labels off, can't they strip watermarks?
That's the battle. Simple watermarks, yes. But new techniques are being developed, like imperceptible spectral watermarking, which embeds signals in the frequency of the audio or image. They're extremely hard to remove without degrading the media. It's not perfect, but it raises the bar for the attacker.
Okay, pillar 2, legislative harmony. How do we fix the international problem?
We need international agreements and standards. That 63% cross-border rate tells us national laws are not enough. We need harmonized laws that allow for rapid cross-border enforcement, fast data sharing, and streamlined extradition to prosecute these transnational criminal networks.
We need Interpol to be able to act on deepfakes with the same speed they act on physical crimes.
Exactly. We need to close the jurisdictional gaps that let bad actors operate from safe havens.
And pillar 3, arguably the most important one, that targets our terrible 24.5% detection rate. Education.
Educational strategies. Media literacy and public awareness campaigns are absolutely essential. Remember, only 9% of adults are confident. We need massive systemic programs to teach critical digital consumption skills to everyone, starting in primary school, all the way up through corporate training.
So not just teaching what a deepfake looks like, but teaching people to question the context and source of shocking information.
Precisely. If our eyes and our tools can't be trusted, our critical thinking is the last line of defense.
So finally, what about individual action? What can our listener do right now?
2 crucial things. First, verification is your armor. If you get a shocking call or video, verify the source through independent channels. Call the person back on a known number. Use a pre-agreed safety word. Don't trust the inbound communication.
And the second, which you keep coming back to, data control.
Yes, and this is critical. Limit the personal data you share online. You have to practice defensive digital hygiene.
Why is limiting data so important?
Because that data is the irreplaceable fuel for the cloning apps. Those 3-5 seconds of audio, they come from public social media. The images used to map your face, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you have to treat your voice and face data like a valuable high-security asset because in 2025, it is. The less raw material you provide, the harder it is for a criminal to clone you.
This has been a necessary, if deeply unsettling deep dive. Let's quickly recap the core findings. We established the mechanical complexity, how GANs create content that's 68% indistinguishable, driven by a 900% annual increase in volume.
And we noted the severe financial carnage. Over $200 million in losses in Q1 2025, fueled by a 3,000% rise in fraud attempts. And most importantly, the moral catastrophe. 96 to 98% of deepfakes are non-consensual explicit content, and we are profoundly ill-equipped with human accuracy for spotting fakes at a terrible 24.5%.
Deepfakes are no longer just a technical problem. They're an existential challenge to our financial security, our institutions, and our dignity. We have to aggressively adopt those three pillars, technical, legislative, and educational, to protect ourselves and the very definition of reality.
And this leaves us with one final provocative thought. If Europol estimates that 90% of online content will be synthetic by 2026, the critical issue won't be finding the fakes anymore. They'll be everywhere. The ultimate challenge will be convincing anyone that the real content they see, the authentic photo, the genuine video, the true voice, is actually legitimate.
The crisis of knowing.
The crisis of knowing is the ultimate shared threat to our collective reality.
That's a sobering thought. Thank you for joining us for this crucial deep dive. Verify your sources, protect your data, and we will talk to you next time.